It was New Year's Eve, 2020, when Sophia first experienced something she would never forget. The night was chilly, and her family had just finished their annual dinner. Everyone had gone to bed early, except for Sophia, who was sitting in the living room scrolling through her phone. Suddenly, she noticed her sister, Emily, entering the room. Emily smiled faintly and sat on the couch across from Sophia. They exchanged casual conversation, mostly about their resolutions and the plans for the upcoming year. Emily seemed quieter than usual, but Sophia brushed it off, thinking her sister was just tired. After a while, Emily stood up and said, "Good night," before walking down the hallway toward the bedrooms. Sophia decided to call it a night, too, and walked toward her room. However, as she passed Emily's door, she saw her sister lying in bed, sound asleep. Confused, Sophia woke her up. "Emily, why are you here?" "You were just talking to me in the living room," she said. Emily frowned, groggy from being woken up. "What are you talking about?" "I've been sleeping since 10 p.m. I was exhausted." Sophia froze. "No, you weren't. You were sitting with me. We talked about our resolutions." Emily chuckled nervously. "Sophia, it wasn't me. Maybe you were dreaming or imagining things." But Sophia wasn't convinced. To prove it, she dragged Emily back to the living room. They looked around, but the room was empty. The unsettling silence only deepened Sophia's unease. That night, she barely slept. Every New Year, the Johnson family would gather to celebrate, but they had a secret they kept hidden from others. Years ago, they accidentally caused the death of a man, Daniel, in a tragic car accident. He was just another person passing by, but his soul could never rest. Now, every year, on New Year's Eve, Daniel's spirit would return to the family's home. At first, they thought it was just a coincidence, but over time, the family realized that it wasn't just a visit. The soul of Daniel was angry and seeking revenge. It began with strange noises, scratching at the door, whispers in the hallway. Then, one New Year's night, the youngest son of the Johnson family, Timmy, found an old photo of Daniel and recognized him from the accident. Terrified, Timmy warned the family, but it was too late. The spirit was already inside. Daniel's soul began to torment them, and the family grew desperate. But just as they reached the brink of madness, something changed. On the stroke of midnight, as the family gathered together, Daniel's spirit appeared in front of them, but this time, he looked calm. He didn't appear angry anymore, but instead, his presence was filled with a sense of peace. "Your time will come," Daniel's voice whispered softly. "But before that, I give you this blessing: live with kindness, forgive those who wronged you, and help others in need." Your past mistakes won't define you if you choose to change. With those words, Daniel's spirit slowly faded away, leaving behind an aura of tranquility. The family, shaken but enlightened, vowed to change their ways. They had learned the hard way that redemption comes not from running from the past, but from facing it with love and understanding. As the new year began, they felt a deep sense of relief. They survived the curse, but more importantly, they survived with newfound purpose. It was New Year's Eve, and Rachel sat alone in her small apartment. The clock was ticking toward midnight, and she felt an overwhelming sense of loneliness. 6 months ago, her best friend, Emma, had passed away in a tragic accident that Rachel couldn't stop thinking about. She kept blaming herself for what happened that night, even though she wasn't physically there. Emma had been driving alone when she lost control of her car, but Rachel had been the one who had been on the phone with her in the moments leading up to the crash. Rachel kept replaying the last conversation they had, wondering if she could have said something to stop her, wishing she had made Emma hang up. Every time the memories surfaced, the guilt weighed heavier on her heart. As the clock neared midnight, Rachel's phone rang unexpectedly. The caller ID said unknown. Feeling a mix of fear and curiosity, Rachel answered it, expecting the usual silent call or prank, but the voice that greeted her sent a shiver down her spine. "Happy New Year, Rachel," the voice said. It was Emma's voice. Rachel's heart dropped. "Emma," she whispered in disbelief. "How is this possible?" "Don't worry, I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to help you move on," the voice responded softly, almost soothingly. Tears welled up in Rachel's eyes. "I'm so sorry, Emma. I should have stopped you from driving that night. I should have told you to stay off the phone." The voice was quiet for a moment before Emma spoke again, but this time, her words carried a sense of warmth. "Rachel, listen to me. You are not to blame. I made my own choices. The accident wasn't your fault. You've been holding on to guilt, and that's not what I want for you. I'm at peace now. But you need to forgive yourself." Rachel could feel the weight of her sorrow slowly begin to lift as Emma's voice calmed her. "I've watched over you, and I've seen how much this has hurt you. But now, it's time to let go. You don't have to carry this burden anymore." The call went silent for a few moments, and when it returned, Emma's voice came through with a final message: "Find peace in the new year. You'll be okay, Rachel. You'll live, and you'll grow stronger from this." Suddenly, the phone line went dead, and the cold feeling that had filled the room vanished. Rachel was left holding her phone, feeling a deep sense of relief wash over her. For the first time in months, she felt like she could breathe again. The clock struck midnight. The new year had begun, and with it, Rachel made a vow. She would live without guilt, knowing that Emma had forgiven her, and that it was time to forgive herself.